Hey everyone, what's up? It's your boy Xeno Martinez here, and I know it's been quite some time since I've made a video that actually featured my voice, but for today I wanted to cover how to make a Shinobi Striker thumbnail tutorial video, especially because this is something that you all have been requesting from me for quite some time, and I decided why not? So for today we will be exploring how to actually create this thumbnail from scratch. And the reason why I wanted to use this thumbnail is because I'm noticing that there's a growing trend among content creators to use the Shinobi Striker logo in the background. So let's get into it. Now, before we even begin this tutorial video, I do want to recognize that all of my artwork on my channel and all of the artwork in this video come from Maxi Uchiha 22's DeviantArt page. Maxi Uchiha appears to be one of the artists that has created artwork for Shinobi Striker as well as other well-known Naruto and anime video games throughout multiple consoles. Now, as you can see, their artwork is incredible, and they have, you know, JPEGs, thumbnails, they have it all, wallpapers, all that stuff. And so this is definitely a fantastic page that you can use to grab artwork that you need for your page and for your channel. Alright, so before we begin working on this thumbnail, I do want to say the program that I am using is Adobe Illustrator. Now, Adobe Illustrator is a paid for software that allows you to both do monthly as well as annual subscriptions, but there is an annual or monthly subscription that comes with it. So just kind of giving you a heads up. And the monthly subscription is about $50 a month. The annual one, I have no idea. So what we're gonna do is, the first step is to actually work on creating your actual thumbnail. So in order to do that, you have to start a new project. So we're gonna click on new. Now for YouTube thumbnails, the pixelation is 1280 by 720. So definitely that is what you want to use when working on a project. All right, so here we go. So we have a new blank document. Now for this, I like to work in several layers. So the first thing you want to do is click on the layers tool, and then we want to go here to the plus sign and create several layers because I am a layer fanatic. All right, so after that, the next step is going to be to open. So first thing we're going to do is grab this guy right here. All right, now as you can see, this is what we call a PNG. Now a PNG is different from a JPEG because a JPEG doesn't have any transparency. So this is transparent, aka a clear background. So we're going to go ahead and zoom out by pressing Control on PC, or I think it's Command on Apple, and then the minus sign to zoom out a bit. Then I'm going to paste. So I actually copied this document, so I Control C, and now I'm going to press Control V, and I am going to paste it. And now what I'm doing is clicking the document, pressing the Shift key, and then basically resizing it. And so the reason why I'm doing this is because if you don't press Shift, then basically this happens. So I'm trying to resize this document or this image, right? And I don't press Shift, and that's what ends up happening. So you probably notice sometimes when people do edits, sometimes their stuff is a little wonky, and that's because they're resizing it without actually making sure that they're keeping the actual size of the image, so not warping it. So basically I'm not doing that. So yeah, so basically I just did this. So now we're gonna bring this back a little bit more down. And so this is probably in the middle layer, but we're gonna bring this a little up. And how you do that is you click on it and then you basically drag it. And I apologize, my cat is in the background doing the most.org. I'm not really sure why he's meowing as much as he is, but here we go with the craziness. All right, so there we go. So then we have that, right? So now I'm locking that, which means that basically I am not touching it. Now, I am also going to do this. So we're clicking and we're going here. So we're opening this. And this is the Shinobi Striker logo. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I noticed that there's a growing trend in the Shinobi Striker content creation community, or the content creator community, where basically people are putting Shinobi Striker logo underneath or behind their, like, you know what I'm saying, document. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here to open, and then we're gonna go here. I'm gonna click on this. As I mentioned, I like to work in layers. So here we go. So there we go. Okay. So I am, as I mentioned, using the shift key to adjust the size of the image and making sure that it's keeping with the same dimensions that I had prior. And you already see we kind of have somewhat of a thumbnail. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here to this document. Now this is a Starburst thing that I got from a website. I'm actually gonna share the link in the description for the website itself. But basically this is like a free vector artwork that you can use. The only thing is they do ask that you provide credit to the individual who shared it or who created it, which I'm obviously going to be doing in this video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this. We're gonna ungroup it by right clicking on your mouse, clicking ungroup, because this is basically a grouped up document, meaning that they're all placed together as a group. And so even though they're multi-layered, they're basically kind of in one grouping. So what does that do? So that basically allows me to take this. So I copy and pasted this, right? So Control C, delete, and then you notice there's still things like this font, this background, but I don't need this anymore because I copied it. And so then basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this layer right here, or actually this layer right here, and I'm going to Control F the document, which basically means it is Control forward, and it brings it to the top of the layer in the exact placement that it was in the previous document. And then I'm pressing Shift key and I'm resizing the document. All right, or I guess not the document, but the actual image itself. All right, so now we have this here. So we have this is my little starburst that I use a lot in actually all of my thumbnails. And now you notice though that it doesn't look exactly how I normally do it, right? So there's a reason for that, and it's this. So basically I'm gonna click it, and then I'm going to go over here to the transparency tab, and in the transparency tab, it has a number of different effects that you can use on this particular layer or image. And so basically the one that I typically use is multiply, which oftentimes you see it kind of darkens it, but also makes it more transparent. But you can also do other things like use screen, which typically lightens things, or overlay, which kind of gives it like a lighter image, but it also is transparent. But I just like the dark effect, so we're going with multiply, which is how I typically do it. All right, then what we're gonna do next is we're gonna lock the layer. So when you lock a layer, that means basically you, as you see, I'm trying to click, you can't touch it, right? And so I do that to kind of keep the parts of the document that I don't want to mess up. Because oftentimes you'll notice that when you are clicking, now you notice that I have both the background image and this image together. And then if you try to adjust, you'll be adjusting them both at the same time, which is something that I don't want to do. So we're gonna click that bad boy, keep that there. Now we're gonna go to the next image. I'm gonna open this. And this is a JPEG image that I have that I oftentimes use in my documents, and you're gonna see exactly why and how. So I'm zooming out, clicking on this bad boy, Control C, and now I'm gonna press Control V to copy and paste it into the document, and we're going to resize it. Okay, now this is usually where I get my little bursts of stuff from. And then what we're gonna do next is, notice there's two layers here. Why it lit two? Why? Oh, you see? I didn't lock this. So that's good that I didn't do that. All right. So basically we're clicking this, and then we're going over to here, and then we're going to was it multiply? No, it's overlay that I usually use. Yeah. So you see, look at that. That's already OP as hell. It's really great. You see, you kind of get the little dust spurts that I have. And so what we're gonna do next is we're going to lock that. And then we're going to open up another image. As I mentioned, I love working in layers. And this one you can get from a website that it's like offers a lot of backgrounds. I'll share the link in the description as well. It's basically called like abstract.com or something. I don't know the exact name of it. I should, right? Because I'm over here telling you how to do this, but yeah. So basically, the next thing we're gonna do is we are going to, yeah. So I went really fast on that, but basically we click on it and then we basically do overlay, or we kind of, yeah. Now I will tell you this about my creative experience, or how I go about actually working on my thumbnails, is that it is a very organic experience for me. So I don't I go in being like, this is the general idea of like the images that I want, but the actual creative process is pretty much like organic. Like I kind of go with the flow, and I kind of trust my eye, and I trust like my feel for it, and I'm like, all right, do I fuck with this? Do I not fuck with this? So basically this is kind of my creative process, as you can see. So I kind of like, I like to experiment and see with the different effects what looks like what, and then based on that I kind of choose what stays and what goes. So I decided that I'm going with the overlay effect on this image. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do after that is this. So here we go. So I'm going to now create a gradient. So a gradient is basically when you have a color. So basically you can kind of consider this, like this is all dark here, and then it kind of goes into a light. So that's kind of like a gradient, but we're actually going to be much more intentional with that. So here we go. So I'm clicking the shape tool or the rectangle tool, and basically I'm creating a rectangle. So here we go. All right. So basically I've created a rectangle, and I'm just going to resize this a little bit without pressing shift, because this is a shape. So if it's a little distorted, it doesn't matter because it's just basically one color. All right, so basically I have reshaped it, and now we're gonna click on it, and we're gonna go over here to the gradient tool. And what we're gonna do is, once we click on this, then we're gonna click on this, right? And you notice that it actually did it for the outer layer instead of actually doing it for the actual solid color in the middle, because there is an edge to this document. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use this to make the middle part, the solid color in the middle, disappear, and then I'm going to use this swap and fill tool to basically swap it out. Now you notice there is a gradient of black into white, right? Because here is the black into the white from the gradient tool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this to make sure that it actually is changing the gradient, and then I'm going to go ahead and click -90, because when I do that, basically what it does is that it brings it so that way the black went from the side to now over here at the bottom. And then I'm going to just, you click on this to actually bring up the gradient just a little bit more. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double click on this, and I'm going to choose yellow. And then I'm going to double click on this, and then I'm going to choose red. And actually, I don't really like how that looks per se. So we're just going to adjust it a little bit, right? And actually, let's see how this looks. Like I mentioned, I'm very organic with my creative process. Oh, I noticed something. All right, so here we go. I'm going to lock this, and I realized I did not actually put an effect. Oh wait, I did. So why isn't it? Huh, let's see. Soft light. Huh, that looks decent. I guess with the overlay, you didn't really see too much, but let's see. Hard light, hue. Oh, this one's kind of nice. Saturation, let's see what color. Light in, multiply, screen. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm very kind of like organic with my process. So I apologize if this part annoys you guys. I'm gonna go with the soft light. I kind of like that there's a bit of splash and a little bit of darkness here. There's a lot of contrast. So we're gonna keep that. All right, so what is the next step? So the next step basically is that I am going to take this layer, right, which is with this dude, I forgot his name. Basically, we're gonna take this layer and we're going to drag and drop it to the plus sign here, which, as you notice, creates what they call a copy. So it's a copy of the original layer that actually went on top, right? So I'm gonna do this about how many more times? Let's see, 1, 2, about 3 times. And then I'm gonna take this layer, and you're gonna understand why in a second. And I'm gonna bring it down here. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for the Shinobi Striker logo, and you're gonna understand why in a second. So we're gonna bring this down 2 times, 1, 2, 1 more time. All right, cool. So we got that going down. And so basically what we're gonna do now is we're going to unlock this last layer, and then we are going to create a glowing effect, which you probably have noticed a lot in my thumbnails. So what we're gonna do is, the first thing we're gonna do is we click on it, then we're gonna go to effects, go to stylize, and we're gonna go to outer glow. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this to make it normal. And then we're gonna double click this so that we can work on changing the color. Now for this, I typically use like a white. So I bring it all the way down here to kind of create like a white color and bring this all the way to the top, because as you notice, when you adjust it, it changes the color for it. So I'm gonna click OK. And then we are going to change the blur. So you notice that there's a blur already here, right? But you notice that when I decrease it or increase it, it increases basically the range of the blur itself. Now for the last layer in the back, I like to put it at 50 pixels, and this is why. So you don't see it too much, but then what I like to do is I like to click on it, then I want to press Ctrl+C to copy it, and then I'm going to press Ctrl+F to basically put it right in front on the top, because when you press Ctrl+F, it basically does that. So I've done that. Let's see how many times I did it. But we're just gonna, I'm gonna show you again why I'm doing it. All right, so here we go. So we're pressing, so I just got rid of the last layer, right? But we're gonna Ctrl+Z to undo that. And then we're gonna press Ctrl+F. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I typically like to do 5 layers of that within the same layer, right? And the reason for that is because you notice that when each time that I press Ctrl+F, it increased the intensity of the actual overglow or outer glow. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to highlight this by pressing the mouse key and holding the left clicker down, and then we're going to highlight the whole thing, which highlights all 5 layers of this logo. And then we're going to go over here to the transparency tool, and we're going to click overlay. Now you see, because I did that, there is an effect, right? See, notice the difference? There's that glow. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing here with this next layer. So you notice there's 4 layers, right? There's the top logo, then there's the bottom logo, the third logo, and the logo at the end. So now we're gonna click on this, and we're gonna go to the effects tool. And this time we're gonna put the pixelation at 15, and then we're going to adjust the color to a yellow. And then we're gonna click OK. And then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're gonna also press Ctrl+A. So instead of having to do this, I can just press Ctrl+A, and it highlights everything within that layer. And then I go over here, and this is the part where it becomes, once again, organic. So I typically kind of play around and see how things look. So I did hue, don't really like that. Let's go with soft light. That's kind of interesting. Overlay, that's kind of cool. Let's see what hard light looks like. Hard light, no. So we're gonna go with the overlay effect. So I just press Ctrl+Z to undo what I just did. And then we're gonna go over here to the next tab, and we're gonna click outer glow again. And this time we're gonna put the pixelation at 5 for the blur. Okay, oh wait, hold on, messed up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back. We're gonna go. So we don't click apply outer glow, because apply outer glow would just automatically apply the glow that we did before. What I like to do is we're gonna work on adjusting the editing. So adjusting the color. So I'm gonna do this like kind of bluish color, and then we're gonna click on it, and then you see it already has it. And then what we're just gonna do is go 1, 2, 3, 4. And how we're doing that is obviously by pressing Control F after copying the layer to basically create that effect. And now I just chose hard light, so I kind of like that. So now we're just gonna leave that there. So you notice that when you also are using those effects, it kind of makes the actual image itself transparent, which is why it's called a transparency tool. All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing for this bottom layer. And the reason why we're doing it here is because if I was to put this effect on top of, like, you're gonna notice, the reason why I'm putting this very last one is because I'm going to do the outer glow, and then we're gonna do the white. So I like to do the white at the very end, at the bottom. And so once again, we're gonna do the 50 pixels for that. So click on that, and then once again, it's Control C to copy, then Control F, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're gonna Control A to highlight all the layers in that document. And then we're gonna press overlay. And you see, the reason why I did that there is because if I was to move this up, you see, you notice the white is like right in front of the logo, which is not what I want. This is supposed to be the outer glow that is for both the logo and the body. All right, so now we did that, so that's done. Now we're gonna go here, and we're doing the second overlay, and we're gonna make this more like a purple, like a pinkish color. And remember, for that, we adjust the pixelation to 15. All right, so here we go. So we copied 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we have that. And now let's see what screen looks like. Oh, I kind of like that. I really, really like that, actually. All right, so we're gonna keep that because that looks super cool. And then we're going to go ahead and do another outer glow. And this time we're gonna adjust it to like a blue color. Ooh, teal. You know, teal is my favorite color. So it's not really like a teal, but it's something. It's something like that. It's something like that. You know what? Let's do a 10. Because I'm gonna probably create like another layer on top of that. So once again, we copied, right? And now we're pasting it. So we're pressing Control F to keep it in the same spot. And then what we're gonna do is click all of it. And then we're gonna play around with the colors and see what stuff looks like. No. That one looks pretty cool. But let's see what soft light looks like. That looks kind of legit. But I kind of like that blue. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's definitely like a very, yeah, I like the overlay one. Because it kind of has, but no, I think I want the blue to be pretty out there. All right, so I think I like that. And maybe I'm just gonna do one more layer. So I'm gonna grab that bad boy again. And then I'm gonna click on this. And then I'm going to go to outer glow. I think I'm gonna do like a yellow this time. For that bottom one, for the top one. And then we're gonna put this for 5. So you notice the layer's a little bit thinner. And then we're just gonna so we did Control C, and then Control F a few times. All right, and now this is when we're gonna play around a little bit. Let's see what screen looks like. No, lighten, no. Overlay, no. Hue, no, maybe it's hard light. Soft light. Saturation. Color. Maybe we just keep it normal, but what we're gonna do then is we're gonna make it just a little bit more transparent. Yeah, so it's like not, I'm just gonna probably put it to like 28. So it kind of has like a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, some purple. So I kind of like this. I think this is cool. All right. So we're basically almost done. Now, as you can tell, thumbnails, depending on how, you know, as you do them, you kind of get faster with them. So it doesn't, oftentimes won't take too much. I'm noticing it's like a lot of white though. So let me see something here. Let's see. Ooh, that's kind of cool. All right, well, I'm noticing that I don't really necessarily like that. So let's see here, highlight. Let's see what the overlay look like again. It's very, very white. Does so-fi even make a difference? It doesn't even seem like much of a difference. There's not too much of a difference. Highlight, let's see what highlight looks like. Highlight kind of gives it that pinkish kind of thing that I was kind of going for, but let's see what difference looks like. So difference makes stuff look real different. It's just like, it's like if you want to kind of go for the darker feel, you might use that. But let me see what color. I told you this is like a definitely like, ooh, yeah, kind of like that. That is actually pretty lit. So what I ended up using for that is saturation. So it kind of created that kind of green look. And actually, I think I might take out this like middle blue. Oh, but that kind of is a good point. Maybe it's a yellow. Yeah. I kind of like it like this. So I think I'm just going to get rid of this layer. So also too, you notice I'm pressing the eye. So the eye is when you can actually see the layer and you cannot, which is probably what I should have said before. All right, and I noticed that a few people have asked about that kind of transparent overlay on my documents. So what we not my documents, but my thumbnails. So I'm going to show you how I do that kind of like light border. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the triangle tool, the rectangle tool, I mean, and then we're going to show, you see that it's showing like the interactive moment between that corner of the artwork layer, and then we're going to click on that and we're going to drag the rectangle to the edge. Ooh. All right, well, you see, notice that it had the shape of it from before, which is great because that was like messing up the sizing a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this, and then we are going to go ahead and put the default fill. And then by clicking this button here, so we got rid of the color, but obviously wanted to bring the color back, we could, but we're gonna press Control Z to undo that. Then we're gonna click on this, because this is basically the stroke, which is the outer edge. So I'm gonna go over here to the stroke tool, and I'm gonna increase the size of the border. So as you see, the border here is black, and the filler here is white. So we're actually gonna get rid of this, right? And then we're gonna click on this, and then, oh, I didn't get rid of it because I didn't click on it. All right, so see, so we have this border now. What I like to do is, I don't like to use the black color for this. I actually use white. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here to the stroke tool. We're actually gonna put this as 20 because that's the size of the point that I use. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on that, and then we're gonna go over to color, and we're gonna make the color white. That's the color that I use to do for my borders. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this again. We're gonna go to my favorite tool, which is the transparency tool, and we're going to overlay it. Now you notice when you overlay it, it creates that look that all of you have been kind of asking me about how I do it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna Control C to copy it, and we're gonna Control F to put it on. Because you notice that when I undo it, it's super light, which I don't like. So we Control F, and now we kind of have more of a border that's seen throughout. And if I want to kind of intensify it, I could do that and make it even more. But I think, let's see, do I like that? I do like that. So what I'm gonna do, I just press Control Z to undo what I just did. Now I'm gonna press Shift, Control, and Z to redo the edit that I had just undone. And I think I kind of like this. So this is basically how I do my thumbnails. So now what we're gonna do is, so now we are going to go ahead and we're going to lock the document. And then basically, did I say I like this? No, I didn't. All right, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and just delete this. So I'm deleting that layer. And so now this is the full completed thumbnail. Pretty OP, huh? All right, so next thing we're gonna do is, we probably should have done this from the beginning, is that we're also gonna save this document. So we're gonna save it and we're gonna call it thumbnail tutorial. Thumbnail. Very original, very original. All right, so no, cool. The document is saved. Sometimes I forget to save. You probably want to save your stuff along the way. So an easy way, a quick way to save is also pressing Control S. It's just a quick way to do a quick save. But obviously for this tutorial video, I didn't think about saving as I was doing it. I was just kind of doing it. So now we're gonna close this tab out, and then we're actually going to export this image. So we can create the JPEG, which is basically when there is no transparency and it's just a full-on image. So we're gonna go to File, we're gonna go to Export, then we're gonna go to Save for Web, because obviously we're saving it for YouTube. Now when we're doing that, we wanna make sure, well, it's loading the image, right? So you noticed too, when I was doing the document, you noticed all the outer stuff outside of the borders. So there was like basically like a frame for the document for the thumbnail, right? So that's basically everything within that frame is the actual thumbnail, right? So that black rectangle basically was indicating the borders for the artwork. So basically whatever was within it was what's going to be exported later or showcased when you actually are trying to create the image itself. So this is the thumbnail. So basically what you want to do then is you want to make sure, if you're trying to do a PNG, which means you want to have a transparent background, you can definitely export it using PNG. But obviously we're creating a JPEG. So then what we want to do is go ahead and click save. And obviously the size is 1280 by 720 because that is the dimensions for YouTube thumbnails. And then we're going to click save, put thumbnail tutorial thumbnail, and then click save. And then basically that's it. Now the image has been saved in the folder and we are basically good to go. I'm gonna give it one quick little save and that's basically it, y'all. Thanks for checking out the video. And remember, y'all, it's hard out here, but your boy would've known. Period.